Hi everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves to Scrap, and I'm coming to you from the land down under. Today I am doing a Keeping It Simple Sometimes Thursday layout, and it's cold and chilly here in Sydney. Okay, this is a 2-photo layout and one that I've done of my daughter and my mother on their recent cruise. So I'm using a whole collection of fussy cut items on this layout to create my clusters. You could use fussy cut items, or you could use ephemera that you've purchased or that comes with kits, or you could use your punches and dies to create what you want to build your clusters with. As I said, this is a 2-photo layout, and I have collected papers from my collections that match the colours from my photos, and that's always important because you want to complement your photos, not overpower them. So I'm going to start this layout with a very simple basic grey cardstock for my background, which is very unusual for me, but it keeps it simple. I'm going to now cut out the pieces that I'm going to use on this layout, and I'm using these two on this page here because they're the strips that I want along the bottom of my layout. The florals, because it is the Queen Elizabeth and it's a bit of a royal feel to the ship, so I want it to look like a royal garden, and I'm brought in those blues which match the clothing colours and the setting of the photos. I now am going to trim down these ones here, and as you can see I'm measuring, and I remember that it is a 6.5, and so therefore it needs to be a 3.25 by the 4, and I'm cutting that in half because I'm going to use it either side. This one I'm going to make it a 3.5 by 3.5 square because I want it to be in the centre at the top. So now that I've got my pieces together, I'm just going to lay them out how I want them to look and just check that I've got my dimensions happening, and as you can see already it's starting to come together as a layout. So I'm just going to tape those into place, and I use my double-sided Express-It tape, which I like because I can manipulate while I'm using it and then press it down and it's down for good. And sometimes I have tricky parts with the tape removing it off, but generally it's not a problem. I decided that I'd reverse it. So originally I had it that these silvery grey colours were going to be taller than the blue, but I decided I'd leave the blue at the top. Now these photos, I'm going to trim this one off because I want to mount them on this paper here, and you won't see much of the pattern, that is true, but it is there subtly in the background of the frame, and they lift off the back of that paper. I'm going to use also those papers that I've been using to create little fishtail banners, which are going to come out from underneath that single photo of my daughter. Now they were very fortunate. They did a Tasmania-Melbourne cruise on the Queen Elizabeth, and they had a lovely time. The weather was perfect for them, and this is their first day on the ship. They'd just been exploring, and they thought that they'd just take a little bit of a rest on the deck. And this is my daughter showing me that she's relaxing and having a good time, which I find quite amusing. So I've added in those 3 fishtail banners underneath there, and that's dragged the colours from the top to the bottom, and as you can see it's all complementary. Now when you go through your ephemera or your cutouts or your fussy cutting parts, just look for things that you can use as your titles, and then that allows everything to do it for you, and that's how you keep a layout nice and simple. So I'm just putting in the bracket there, and now I'm going to build up my cluster using all the different elements, and I layer it up and think about how things are going to work. And you can see by moving them around, I have put the camera to the top, so that's the 2 rectangles, top and bottom, and then I'm putting the flower clusters in pardon me, so that the colours are balanced and your eye is drawn around the page, not just to one spot in the page. So the yellow actually does that for you, and that makes it go from one cluster to the other, and it doesn't keep you focused on one area of the layout. So I'm putting in my butterflies, and as you can see I play around with where everything is best placed first, and the colours are used to draw your eye, as I said, from one spot to the other, so that you will look around. Now this is the key. These 3 circles here are setting up my visual triangle to make your eye go around the page seamlessly and see the photos. I've got these little cute word phrases which I'm putting in there. One says good time, one says kicking back. The other one's about having a good time and relaxing and then getting out of here. So they're added into the layout. Now to finish it off, I would always try to doodle a border probably, and this time I've decided that I do a faux cross stitch around my border, and I'm using a gel pen in the blue teal colour. I really do apologise for my cockatoo in the background. Jack is being a little bit loud today, so I apologise for that. The crosses add a finishing touch to the edge of my layout. I could distress it or I could draw a messy border, but I decided that I would do this cross stitch. I could, if I was doing it in more detail, actually sew that border in, but I feel that the doodling adds just enough character to this layout. The last thing I need to do is I need to add in the date, and I'm going to use my date stamper to do that. And I'm going to put it down in the bottom right hand corner, and this was in February this year. That's so that they will remember where. I don't need to put any journaling on it, as I said, because this is going in my daughter's album, and there are lots of other journaling pages that are throughout telling the story. So there's my layout. You can see those crosses as the border. You can see the clusters there, and how that the eye can be dragged from one cluster to the other, and the photos still are prevalent on the page and they pop because of the colours chosen. And that is the key to keeping it simple, everybody. Make sure your colours complement your photos, and your photos will always be centre story. That's how you layer up a cluster. It's just a matter of adding more until you are happy. Don't forget to have a go. If you like anything here, just freeze the screen at any time, take a photo of it and copy away. That I'm happy for you to do that. This cluster here, as I said, draws your eye around the page. This is a simple layout that looks really effective. I'm Kathy from Kathy Loves to Scrap. I'm coming to you from Down Under. If you liked anything, please give me a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know that you want to see more. Thank you to all my subscribers, and if you aren't subscribed, please give it a little bit of a thought. And I want to build my station, so I'll leave any comment and give me some feedback, and I'll get back to you. You can find me on Instagram under my name, Kathy Loves to Scrap, where all my layouts end up, even those without videos. Thanks for watching. Happy scrapping. Until next time.